Hello chess lovers, I have a fantastic game for you played by Garry Kasparov. Your attention please. In 2001, the world's #1 ranked chess player was giving a chess simul to Czech national team, composed of grandmasters Sergei Movsisyan, Zbigniew Hracek, Vlastimil Babula and Thomas Orel. In the first day, Kasparov won 2 games, drew 1 and lost 1, thus winning the match 2.5 and 1.5. In this game, his opponent was Sergei Movsisyan, ranked 26-31. Let's see how the game progressed. Kasparov started with e4 and c5 by Movsisyan, Sicilian defense, knight f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, a6, Movsisyan goes for con variation, knight c3, queen c7, bishop d3, knight c6, knight takes c6, b takes c6, white castles, knight f6, queen e2, Movsisyan played bishop d6. Maybe he was still in preparation, but this bishop d6 looks very passive. A more active looking move is d5, but after bishop d6 we can see later in the game that this bishop on c8 just becomes dead. Now the pawn on h2 is hanging and Kasparov plays f4, e5, king h1 preventing any possible queen b6 checks, h6, bishop d2, black castles, and f5. Kasparov is playing very aggressively. Rook e8, bishop c4. This bishop is now eyeing on f7 square. a5, rook f3. This rook is coming to attack black king. Bishop b4. We can see that Movsisyan is doing nothing to prevent Kasparov's aggression, and Kasparov simply plays rook g3. Now there is a very dangerous threat, bishop takes h6. Movsisyan played king f8. Well, if king h8, then anyways white can sacrifice the bishop on h6. Let's quickly have a look at this variation. White can capture on f7 as well, rook f8, queen e3, eyeing on h6, king h7, rook h3 putting more pressure on h6. If knight g4, then bishop g6 check followed by queen g3, and this is going to be very unpleasant for black. Or after rook g3, if a move like king h7, which is Engine's first choice, then white can play queen e3. The threat is rook takes g7 check followed by queen takes h6. If rook g8, then simply bishop takes f7, and again black is in trouble. And already we can say that after Kasparov's rook g3 move, black is in trouble. Movsisyan, as I have already mentioned, played king f8. Now comes queen e3, again threatening rook takes g7, knight g8. Well, if we move like queen a7, here is a very beautiful line which I would like to show you. Then Kasparov can play rook takes g7. If queen takes e3, then rook takes f7, Zwischenzug, king g8, rook takes f6, discover check, d5, knight takes d5. This is a fantastic variation. If queen takes d2, then knight e7 double check, king g7, rook f7 check, and we can see that black king is getting checkmated after f6, and there is no way to prevent checkmate. This is truly an awesome variation. Let's go back. After queen e3, Movsisyan played knight g8. Now comes a strong move by Kasparov, f6, destroying black's pawn chain. G takes f6, and now rook f1. Black captured on c3, but now as you can see, Kasparov is not even going to capture on c3. What is more interesting, this game is just a very unique one. For 11 moves, Kasparov won't capture on c3. Now let's see how Kasparov proceeded with the attack. You can pause the video and try to find his next moves. Ready? Kasparov played rook takes g8 check, going for an exchange sacrifice and getting rid of this knight which was protecting the f6 square. King takes g8, queen g3 check, king f8, rook takes f6, the threat is rook takes f7 checkmate. d5, but now comes this bishop, bishop takes h6 check, king e7. Now can you find Kasparov's next move? Ready? Kasparov played rook takes f7 check. Black didn't accept the sacrifice and played king d6. But if king takes f7, then queen g7 is winning. If king e6, then queen takes c7, it's over. Let's go back. After rook takes f7 check, we see king d6, queen g6 check, bishop e6, and white is simply capturing on c7. King takes c7, e takes d5. Again, Kasparov is not hurrying to capture this bishop. There are more important jobs to do. C takes d5, bishop b5, the rook is under attack. Rook b8, a4, bishop d7, and only now on move 30 Kasparov captures on c3. Black's position is just hopeless, but move c7 played a few more moves. A takes b5, rook takes b5, h4 not allowing any, rook b1 checkmate, a4, bishop g7, d4, queen f7 check, king b6, queen e6 check, king b7, bishop takes e5, rook takes e5, queen takes e5, a3 move. c7 is trying to create some threats with his passed pawn, but of course Kasparov has calculated everything. After a2 he plays queen b3 check, king c7, queen c3 check, king d7, queen a1, king d6, here comes c4, and finally move c7 resigned. What a fantastic game played by world's #1 chess player Garry Kasparov. Your comments and questions please. I hope that you liked this fantastic game. Good luck.